Good morning, everyone. This is Becky here at Aunt Beck's Creations, and I just thought I'd come on and I finished the pajamas, so I'm working on this Vogue pattern now. And there was some questions over at Dee and Dory's over the weekend about Tailor Tacks and how to do them. And when you're working with slinky fabric, you can use Tailor Tacks instead of trying to mark with chalk or something like that. And what you need, it's simple. You just need some thread through a needle. All right. Then you need your fabric and your pattern pieces, which you guys give me a minute because this has been in a bag for I don't know how many years, and things have gotten a little bit separated. So give me just a sec. I think it's with the lining piece over here. And I did have to take this to my serger because you can see kind of here in the corners where I couldn't really serge very well. I mean, I could, but I might cut it and I didn't want to. But this fabric frays like no other. So I just serge the edges. So this is the pattern piece that we need. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this just a single layer. I'm going to take one of these layers away. And what I'm going to do with the Tailor Tacks is I'm going to mark my dots. Okay, this is not it. Hang on. I think I may have cut out the wrong piece for this, maybe. No, go somewhere else. Maybe this is it. Oh, this got ripped too. Okay, that's no good. We're going to have to do some pattern surgery here. Something's tells me a cat may have been involved. All right. Let's see if we can do this. Yeah. All right. And I'm only going to mark this one piece with you guys. I need some pins to lay this on here because I'm just going to pin it back in place. It says I need to cut 2 of interfacing 2. This really needs to be pressed and repaired, but you guys have to stay in here now. You have to be good. Piper, you have to stay in here. You've kept Greg up too much last night. He's already mad at you. You stay in here with me. All right. So Tailor Tacks are used to mark your dots and different things. Usually it's just the placement dots. This pattern is really janked up. Or maybe it needs to be face down on this piece. All right, that's what it was, I think. So the other piece will be face up. That might be easier for you to see. Let me switch that back over here. Because when you're cutting out, you cut with the pattern, the fabric right sides together. We'll get to the Tailor Tacks here in a minute. And I put them as a single layer when I'm going to do the Tailor Tacks because it's so much easier. And I'm just going to pin this in place. Ouch. And I'm not staying on for a terribly long time. So good morning, Pam. Good morning, Dawn. I know there's some other folks on this morning. Another reason for me not to stay on too long. But I did have some questions about Tailor Tacks. And so I thought I would come on and show. And now the reason I'm doing this is Dory had said that she had tried to use Tailor Tacks, but they pulled out. Well, you're supposed to knot them. So what you do, all right, that might be enough to hold it in place. I'm just going to mark the dots, but I would also mark like the very top portions of this placement line and the very bottom tip of it with a Tailor tack. And I would just do that to make my life easier. All right. So I do have a double thickness of thread. Technically, you only need one, so we could pull it shorter. And what you do is you just go down through one edge of the circle, but don't pull all the way through. And then you come up through the other side of the circle, like so. And then you just leave tails that are long enough that you could tie a knot in. So we'll just cut that right there. All right. And you're just going to leave that like that. All right. So then we've got some dots down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go just pick one side, go down through one side of it, and pull it until you've got a tail. And then come up on the other side of the dot. And right now you're just going to leave tails. Okay. Go down through one edge of your dot and come back up the other side of the dot. You're probably saying, but you haven't tied knots. It's because you have to remove the pattern piece first. So I'm just going to mark the dots with you guys. There are also some squares up here at the top. We'd probably want to mark them too. So I'm going to mark the squares, and they're big enough. I can probably go down in and then come back out the other edge. Remember, leave the tail. I'm just going to go ahead and pull that. I need another piece of thread. Oh, now it's rolled where I can't get to. There we go. And there is another placement line here that I could mark in some way. But what I'm going to do is I'll probably just lay the pattern piece back down. When I get to that part, just lay it on and kind of put a pin at each edge, and then I'll know where to line something up. I think that's where I lined the bottom of the bag piece here, because the bottom of the bag is double thickness. This is going to be a sturdy bag. Now, can I see well enough to get this in here? There we go. I did it. Okay. Let's mark this other square. So can you see? I'm going to go down on this side of it and then come back up. And you will have to be careful. You don't want to pull these threads out after you've sewn them in. And so I'm just going to snip that. All right. So now we're going to unpin the pattern. Try not to touch your threads. I'm just going to put these pins up here. And then you gently, ever so gently, pull the pattern free. I'm not sure green thread was the best choice, but it'll be all right. And you're just going to pull the pattern off, and then your threads are still here, and they're really hard to see. But then I'm going to tie a knot in them. And don't tie it real tight. You want to be able to get a corner of a scissor under there, because eventually you'll need to pull these back out or remove them. So that one's been tied. And I just tie it, 2 or 3 times. I just don't want it to pull out. And green was probably not the best choice. And these are what you call Tailor Tacks. And they're really used in like more tailoring techniques. Mostly menswear, people use them. But this is what I learned to mark patterns with back in the late 70s, early 80s, before all the newfangled chalks and pens and all that came out, Tailor Tacks was the thing. So there's those two, and then we had this one right here in the middle. It needs to be tied. And you would just mark each of the circles this way on your pattern. My hands are not wanting to work. And you can leave your threads long, or you can trim them off a little bit. You want to leave them so you can see them. And I was trying to figure out what color thread to grab, because this fabric has nearly every color in it. I'm hoping this shows up better on the back. And these are the squares that I marked. And when you go from one edge to the other on the circles, it'll kind of denote the size of the circle, because sometimes you have large circles and sometimes you have small circles. And just having a mark there in like any Tailor Tack size, but you can always pull your pattern out and say, oh, that's a small circle. But if you go from one edge to the other, now see, like I would cut these to maybe 1 inch long, just so they're there. And then when you turn it over, did I tie this one? Yes, I've tied them all now. Oh no, they just disappeared. Oh no, there's one. So there's a square, and there's a square, and there's one. I might have to get a different thread. And then there's a Tailor Tack right there. I can see them, but you guys probably can't. I see, like I said, I don't know what color thread would show up, but that's how you do Tailor Tacks so they don't pull out. All right. And that's all I was going to show you, is that's how you do Tailor Tacks. And now I'll do the other half, but when I do it, I will do it with the fabric face down. I'll show you what I mean by that before I sign off. Of course, I guess I could do them with you, because what you got to remember is you have to have a mirrored image to have right and left, front and back. That's why you fold your fabric right sides together when you cut things out. So you'll have that mirrored image. So like if this was where we were cutting it out, the fabric would be together like this. Okay. So that's why I'm going to mark this one this way. And I can have my pattern piece right side up, because this is how you would cut it out. You'd have the 2 layers together, you'd lay this down, and you'd cut both layers at the same time. Now I am going to move this, because this already has Tailor Tacks in it. I'm beginning to wonder, white thread might be a better option. I might grab some white thread and do this one. Piper, you need to knock it off. You guys behave. Leave Greg alone. Let him sleep a couple more hours. All right. I'm just going to pin this down. We'll do it one more time together. And I got a bunch more. This bag has a lot of things I have to mark. I just want to get this pinned enough that it's not going to shift as I'm putting the needle through. All right, so this is how you do Tailor Tacks. And I was taught you always tie them. So I was kind of shocked when people said, you tie them? I was like, yeah. All right, so that should stay in place. Let me put this one back. And I'm going to unthread my needle. Ooh, and horror of horrors, I'm going to waste that thread. And we'll get some white thread on here. Well, I'm real big on sharing the knowledge that I know freely, because everybody charges for everything. And some things in life are meant to be free. And if we all just freely trade, everybody could learn so much more from one another if they just freely did it. Piper, stop. Yes. Stop. He doesn't want you out there because you're keeping him up. All right. Okay, you can see. So I'm going to try to just do it. Go down through one edge of my circle and come back up. I don't really think I need this one, but if I do it, it's there. Oh, I think this is going to show up so much better. And you want to leave about 2 or 3 inches on either side. That'll give you enough to tie it. And then I got to tape this pattern. It's bothering me that pattern's ripped. Oh, I didn't shorten one of them. I'll just pull that out. Okay, there's that. And if I wanted to mark this placement line, I could maybe put a little dot here. And then put one over here. And that'll get this placement line kind of lined up. And I am taking a nice big stitch. I might remark the other piece with this white thread. But yeah, again, I would mark all the places that I need the information for, like the tops of where the 2 little handle things start on the top of it, and then put just one little one down here at the bottom. I think I've got enough to do one more tie. Ought to scoop Piper up and put her out on the catio. She doesn't go out there, so that would kind of freak her out, but at least she'd quit digging at the door. We used to learn from our ancestors. Remember, we learned so much from our parents and our grandparents, and now the kids are involved in so many things they have to pay for. And it's like, if we just taught our kids to learn from one another, from us and our parents and that kind of thing, we'd have a smarter population that would have more life skills. But I'm old school in that department. I taught my son to sew. He knows how to use a sewing machine. He's not, as good at it as I am, but then I've been sewing since I was 9, and I'm 61 now, so I've been sewing for a minute. You can always, you can put a bunch of tie tacks in to mark the different things. And then if you just need to look for a reference on which one of your ties is what you need to be paying attention to, you keep your pattern piece handy and you just refer back to it. So I'm going to leave that like that. And I've got a bunch more to do. So, but I'm not going to do it with you guys. I'm just going to show you guys one more time. All right. Then we're going to just gently lift it straight up. And those all stay there. Oh, this does. You can see these so much better. So this, I'm just going to kind of tie real loose because this is just to mark where my, what do they call it? Placement line is. I'm just going to trim that. This is the other placement line. That should give me enough ideal of where this is to line those other pieces on. And if you leave them just slightly loose, you can get your scissor in there and snip them when it's time to remove them. Sometimes they they get buried in a seam. So now when they say sew to a dot, that's what this is for here, I'm pretty sure. All right. Oh, it doesn't like this, the back of this fabric much. It's pixelating. All right, so I hope that this has been informative. And I'm going to do some other just short little sewing tips when, they come about. And if you have a question about something, put it in the comment section below. And I will do my best to get to it. I know somebody had put a request in for me to go over the threading on all the different machines I have. And that's going to have to really wait until I can set them all up on the dining room table, which I can't right now because half of my dining room doesn't have flooring on it yet. So it's got subfloor, but it doesn't have hardwoods back down yet. And Scott's back to teaching, so time is limited on when he's available and when he's not exhausted. All right. So now if we turn this over, they still blend in, but there's a tack there and there. So that's where my placement line is for the bottom of the bag that goes here, which is going to be in this brown. So if I take one of these, I can show you what that placement line is going to be for. Uh-oh. And I think I've got some marking to do on some other things, but I'll let you guys go. I just wanted to show you what this bag's going to kind of look like. And this will get matched up with those lines there. So the bottom of the bag will be like this. And it's going to have these palm trees on it. So it'll be an interesting bag. All right. Take care and thank you for being here.